Hello everyone and welcome, it's Shanna. We're going to build our card for episode 216 of Craft Roulette. We need an A2 card. Our colors need to be baseball. Our element is number and our random is charm. And I'm going to use this stamp and die set from This Calls from Confetti. It's the Happy Layering die set and the Happy Sentiments. And I'm going to use red, white, and blue for my colors. To me, baseball, apple pie, and America all go together. And so I'm going to use red, white, and blue for my colors on this. And that will cover my baseball theme. Now I'm using, this is a layering die set, and I first grabbed 3 in a row, and then I realized I wanted to skip one between each layer so that I make sure that I have a good edge showing. And so I was just checking to make sure I did it right. And I'm going to, I just got some scrap paper. This blue paper was from Hobby Lobby, and I think it was a 12 by 12 that I had cut some off of. And so I'm just going to use it to make the outer layer of my card base. And I've got my spellbinders here, and I'm just going to get everything die cut out. I zoomed out and brought my die cutting machine in so that you could have like a full view, and we could just do the whole card right there on the video screen. So I'm getting my white layer, and I'm just using hammer mill 110 pound. So that's a pretty good solid piece. We're going to have some good layers. And then I'm going to bring the next layer and do my red. And this red is just a Recollections paper that I picked up at Michael's. And it was a good red. I was looking for a really good red, and when I saw that, I thought I have to get that because I didn't have any good reds. Now the sun has come back out, and it's casting shadows on my glass mat there. And I have a little board that I try to use to block it, but it wasn't working, so I gave it a try. I just left that in to show you some of the headaches that you have when making videos. You've got to deal with shadows and lighting and stuff. I do like to work off of natural daylight because I don't have to fight the reflection of my light in my glass mat. However, I usually have to wait a little bit later in the day just because of how our house is positioned so that I don't run into these shadow issues that are on my glass mat there. But when I started, it was cloud cover, and I didn't have that issue, and I thought, ooh, I'm going to get away with it. And then the sun quickly popped out. But it will go under, and we'll have periods where it's a little bit less distracting that you can watch me. And I'm fiddling with this, trying to get it laid down on here. My craft room, I have just, it's full of windows and a door all the way around. So I get lots of natural light. And so I really enjoy that. And it looks out into my backyard, so it's a really nice space. So now I'm taking my red panel, and I'm going to grab one of my embossing folders. And I'm grabbing this one from Pink and Maine is what I'm going to use because it has bricks. And I think, you're going to see a brick wall or something like that at a ball field. And so I'm just keeping in the theme of ball filled with this. And I had to work out my sandwich because the Pink and Maine embossing folder needs a different sandwich than what the Spellbinders was. So it took me a minute to die cut it. And we'll just get this laid down. And that Sweet Petunia glue press is working out for me today. It's going to behave. So I got that laid down on there, and I've got the red, white, and blue. By the way, red is my favorite color. And I'm thinking that I'm going to stamp, and then I have a change of mind here. So I will take my Misty out, and then I'm going to grab just a circle die, and I'm going to cut out a baseball circle. And so I'm just looking for the right one and trying to make sure it'll be the right size for what I've got going there. So I'm taking the inspiration from Rena. She did a baseball on her card, and so that's what I'm going to do on mine. And I'm just going to get it laid down on my die cutting machine and get it die cut out. And so we'll get that die cutting machine out of the way. And I'm going to also use her little trick that she did to make the marks on I think she used a piece of paper, but I just used the die. And then I went around there. And as soon as I finished, I thought I should have made stitches with my red Cricut marker there. And that's where I'm realizing I should have done that. But I have a solution. I know exactly what I'm going to do to create a more stitched-like look on my card. So I'm going to grab my white Jelly Roll number 10 marker, and I'll just stitch the white on top of the red, and then that will create the stitch lines. And I was glad I thought of that. I'm not usually quick to think of stuff like that, but it just popped in my head, and I thought that's what I'm going to do. So I just go around both of those red lines and add the stitched detail on there. So for this card, you know, this is Memorial Weekend, and we're celebrating all of those who have served us in the United States for all of their efforts and remembering everyone. So I'm going to make this a happy holiday card is what I'm going to do. And I am going to, instead of stamping like I originally thought in the first of the video, I'm going to use this happy die cutting piece and die cut out my happy. And that's what I'm going to use on this card. So I'll bring in my die cutting machine again, and I'll lay my blue panel down with this, and I'm going to die cut it out. And then I'm going to get all of my pieces out and get them laid back down on there. And then I'm going to bring in a piece of tape just to hold it all together, because I want to keep this all together because I'm going to do another layer with red. And I'm going to take the letters out and lay the red over the blue. And so I want to make sure I keep all of my blue pieces in place. So I'm bringing in my mint tape and picking that up. And then I'm going to take a piece of this red, and I'm going to run it through my die cutting machine again. And this will create the red letters that we're going to put on top of the blue. Now I did do the same thing with the tape, but I didn't necessarily need to do that here because I'm going to pull the red letters off and just use them on top of the blue. So we'll get the die cutting machine out of the way, and I can't use the handle on mine because it pulls out, breaks, and lands on my glass mat. I push it back in so that it looks nice, but it's not functional. Anyway, so I'm going to actually flip the blue one over, and I'm going to take the tape off the red because I'm not going to need it because I am going to pull all those pieces out. I just kind of got ahead of myself putting that tape on there, but it doesn't matter. And then I'm going to use it on the front side of this because ultimately I need them to stick in the front, or on the back, I guess. I had it on the front, but I needed to move it to the back. So I'm just going to make sure I've got all of my pieces. I think I was checking my mat to see if there were any pieces on there, make sure I've got everything. I'm going to have to stick that A back inside of that in the center of the A, because this is just going to be my base. And then my red is going to be my actual letters on there. So I'm going to put all of it back in there. And that's why, you know, wanted the tape on there, is just to keep all the pieces in, not have to fuss with all of them. And so I'll just get them pushed down in there real well. And then I'll just bring in my thin little glue bottle with a fine tip there. The other one, the tip came out, and so I just changed to this one. I'm trying to get the glue to run down to the edge of the bottle. And I brought in that little scrap of red so that I could blot off any large blobs of glue, so I can just have a nice thin line on there. And I'm going to bring in my pick and stick tool so I can pick up my letters and just inlay them on top of the letters that are already there. And so we'll just use a real fine line and do that. So I just stopped for a minute and went out. My husband had bought a new rototiller for the garden, and I was checking it out. He's going to be working in the garden today. So I just went out there and took a peek at it. So he's out there. He's doing the second half of the garden. He did the first half already. He likes to plant in layers so that your crop comes in layers. And he was tired of fussing with the rototiller, so he went and bought a new one. And it's a nice one that we can use in my flower beds as well. So I'm excited about that. So I'm just going to get this all glued up and get it laid down. And I've done this voiceover 2 or 3 times, so if I've repeated myself on something, it's because I don't know whether I said it in this voiceover or the other 2 that I did. I had some sound quality issues with my microphone, and I had the whole video voiced over. And I played it back, and there was just too much popping and cracking. I probably could have uploaded it, but I was like, no, do it again, do it right. And I don't know, I have to use a cord, like an adapter for the cord to plug it into my phone. And I think that the adapter is causing some popping and cracking. And so I just deleted the voiceover and started it again. And then I've had interruptions where I had to start over again. And so if I've repeated myself, I apologize. So now, let's see, what are we doing? We've got this all laid in there, and I'm going to get a good amount of glue on the back side of this so that I can make sure that none of the blue letters pop out with the red. You know, I've got the red attached to the blue, but the blue letters are not attached because they were also die cut out. So I just put glue in the top, bottom, and middle of them and brought in a smaller sheet of the blue and just backed it so that they're all glued down, and that will be the elements for the base of my card. Now I'm going to bring in the holidays and use the holiday element for my card because it is Memorial Weekend, so we're going to do that. And I'm going to stamp it down on that scrap piece of white. And I was just trying to find a spot that was good and clean. When you run it through your die cutting machine, when you've got that magic mat or even your regular cutting panels, you'll sometimes pick up some little bits of dye. So I was trying to find a nice clean spot. And I'm bringing in my Lumberjack red ink, and this is a new ink pad, and I've used it once, and it was so juicy and messy that I couldn't get a good stamping. So anyway, I'm cleaning up, trying to be really careful with it so that I don't have a mess. And I noticed some blotting messiness there, and so I blotted it off, and then I stamped it again. And I am just lightly pressing this because I don't want it to squish and make a mess. So I'm going to get it, and I was happy with how it turned out. And I'm going to clean that up, and we'll bring in one of those dies from that Happy Layering die set from This Calls from Confetti, and I'll line it up. We'll get it die cut out, and then we'll have all of the elements for our card. So bringing that die cutting machine in again. I'm going to get this thing taped down with that green tape that I was using and just reuse it. I tore it in half. And we'll get this die cut out. And there we go. Now we have all of the elements for our card. And we've got, we've got our baseball with our stitched on it. And then I'm going to lay my happy down. Now I'm going to cut a little piece of that blue and kind of cut like a circular edge out of it to just help me layer it up so that it'll layer nicely. And I'll just stick that on there, and that will just keep it level. And, we won't have any bending of our panel there. So we'll get that snugged up and laid down. So I've got, my A2 size card. I've got my baseball colors, red, white, and blue. I've got my number, my 6 layers for episode 216. So I've covered all of the elements, and then I'll just say, this card worked out like a charm. And I've now met all of my elements. I was really pleased with how this card came together. And so I'm going to layer this, and I'm trying to decide where to put it. I lined the hello up to the blue, and so I'm going to line the happy up to the blue, and then the holidays up to the white, and just kind of offset it a little bit. And now I'm reaching for some embellishments, and I'm going to grab some of these Pink and Main because they had a nice blue that I thought would look really good on there. And I'll just lay some of these enamel dots down on there. I'll do 2 small ones on one side and a bigger one on the other side. And I'm really pleased with how this card turned out. I hope you like it. Have a great Memorial Weekend. Take care. Goodbye.